Hello and welcome to Helpful Student. We're doing the GCSE Mathematics, we're doing number section, we're doing indices, which start from grade C and go to grade A. Quite a challenging topic for some of you, but it shouldn't be too hard. And if you're thinking of doing A-level maths, then this comes up vigorously and you're going to have to be pretty good at it. But don't worry, it's not too hard, not too bad, and you should get it. So let's begin. So we have the indices rules. Now, you're probably looking at this and probably crying or probably moaning, but it's not too bad, and it's basically, I'm going to go through them. So, it's basically telling us what you do if an indices is in some form. So, for example, if we have im times in, so if I had a number to the power of something times a number to the power of something, we add the powers. If we have a power, if we have a number and then a power and divide, and then have a number and then a power, if we divide, then we take away the powers. If we have them in brackets here, then we times them. This is another one. If the number has a power of 0, then it is equal to 1. That's for all the numbers. So if you have and then if you have a number and it's 0, then it'll be 1. That's it. So that's quite fairly simple, straightforward. Now these are usually, with some students, quite challenging, but I think if you do these three like I've done it, then you should get it straightforward. So if we have a number and it's got a minus power, we do it like a fraction, so 1 over im. Now I always think this little minus has a 1, so you're like turning it 90 degrees clockwise into a 1. That's how I always did it, and then you've got your im by itself. So that's quite straightforward. Then you've got I1 over m. Now, if I have it like that, we do m, and then we do the square root of I, so these will come up in the examples I'm doing, so don't worry if you don't get it. I'll go through it and you should say, I use this rule for that and that. Right, and then last but not least, n over m. This is how I remember it as man. So min, and this is basically telling us square root. So we got m, and then we square root the number by the power of n. So I would say, I'll just get my pen out. I'd say these rules are quite straightforward and quite simple. You should get these. These I can understand it's a bit more challenging, but with practice you should get these. So let's move on to some examples. Right, as always, feel free to pause the video and I'll go through it and then check my working out and check the answer. And if you get it wrong, just look, it's obvious. So let's start. So 3 to the power of 6 divided by 3 to the power of 2. Now, if we divide, we take away the powers. So we do 6 take away 2, which is 4. Now, some examples will ask you to leave it in this form, and some will ask you to carry on. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81, because it's just 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, because we've got this 4, so we have to times it 4 times by 3. So quite straightforward, that one. Right, now we've got a brackets here, and we've got power to the 4 to the 5, and then divided by 217. It's just, again, 4 times 5, which is 2 to the power of 20. And then it's just, don't let this like fraction form fool you. It's just still divide, so it's exactly like this symbol here. Don't let this fool you. You can even, if I was you, I'd write it out like this. 2 by 20. Sorry about the handwriting. Divided by 2 to the power of 17. If it's in that fraction form and that confuses you, just write it out like that, because I've got 20 by 4 times 5, which is 20, and then divide that, which gets us 2 cubed. Some exam boards will ask you to leave it like that, some won't. You'll ask your teachers, but this is the answer I got. There you go. And I got 8, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Because 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So it's really important you get them indices right. Right, now we've got an algebraic one, but no need to panic. We just do what we did with the rest, like this one. 2 times 4 is 8, so it's just I8. Quite simple, quite, these aren't really too hard, challenging. Quite simple. Right, moving on to the next one. Right, now don't look at these and don't panic, because again, when you put the rules in, it's fairly straightforward. So 8 minus 2 over 3. There you go. So straight away with the minus, we do the 1. So it's 1 over 2, so this is positive. And then we do 1 over 3 square root 8 squared. Now 8 squared is 64. And then 64, and then 3 square root of 64 is 4. So if we do 4 times 4 times 4, that gets us 64. That's what this is telling us here. So quite simple, that one, quite straightforward. You should be able to do that with your head. If you don't really get it, keep practicing. That's the best advice I can give you. And carry on with this next one. 3n equals 1 over 9. Now, straight away we've got 1 over, so we know this is a minus, and then 3 times what gets us 9, 3 to the power of what gets us 9, 3 squared is 9, so it's minus 2, if you get how I did that. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong one there. So it's minus 2 there. So, as you can see, I knew it was a minus. I knew it was a minus because I've got this 1 over bit, so straight away I knew minus. And then I'm thinking, how did they get 9? And 3 squared, so there you go. You got 36.5 now. Now it's just this rule here, the one that we did at the end. It's easy to remember as man, because remember, none of these indices rules are giving you in the exam. You have to know these. Oh, sorry about my dodgy eye. But remember it as man. So 2 goes here, because that's here. That's our m here. So that's, if that makes sense, if that's easy. Right, so 2 is 2 there, then 36, which is our I number here, then 1, which is n here. So 36 to the power of 1 is just 36. Then the square root of 36 is 6. Now don't be fooled by the 2, it just means it's just another thing for square root 2, so don't be worried with 2. So, because 6 times 6 is 36, so there you go. Right, moving on to the next one, the last ones. 27 to the 2 over 3. Exactly the same rule as we just did. Again, 27 squared, 729, and then there. You'll probably be expected to do this one on a calculator and show you working out like this, but always show you working out like this just in case it's on a non-calculator so you know what to do. And then we get 9, because 9 is over 3, so 9. And then our last one, a quite tricky one, but I'll go for it. Right, this is how I worked it out. We've got a fraction here, so I ignored this minus with the fraction and just kept it as like that. So you get 16 over 81, 3 over 4, and ignore the minus. And then I use the rule I n over m. Oh, that's terrible, that is terrible. And then m over I over n. So 4 is our m. We put that there. And then I is this. It's a fraction. Don't be scared because it's a fraction. It's not a whole number. Don't worry. Put that in, and then we cube it because that's n. Yeah. So I put this into the calculator, and I put this into the calculator, and you should get 8 over 27. But we've got the minus here, and we put the minus back in here, and then with a minus we just flip it round, so it's 27 over 8. That is the final answer. So be careful with these ones because people often put it like 1, like we've done with the previous ones, 1 over 16 over 81, and then positive 3 over 4, but don't be fooled with that. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Keep practicing. That's the best advice I can give you with indices. Keep practicing, and that's it really. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.